Okay, so we're back here with another night of coding, and some of you may have noticed I just spammed out 26 MechWarrior videos. I've been holding on to those for almost a month now. Finally got a good solid chance just to upload them all in one go, and now I've got all those up there. Some of them are good, some of them are not. Some of them are potato quality, and I have no clue why there's such a quality difference between all of them, because they're all recorded on the same settings in OBS. This is where I always note and apologize sometimes in the comments of my own videos going, hey, sorry for the quality. For some bizarre reason, OBS will switch my settings on me. I'll have my settings set up, they'll be saved, they'll be good. I look at the recording locally and it's good. On top of this, I've noticed that the quality between what I upload and what YouTube presents is different, and I'm not quite sure what's up with that. It could be my own settings, etc., etc. But pushing that all aside, the goal today is to work more on ICBM and get the standard launcher functional. Now we've got a lot of stuff in the standard launcher that is probably no longer functional. We're probably going to modularize as much as possible, and I'm going to move the missile building to a template-driven system. And the reason for behind doing this is a lot of the silos and launchers are going to allow you to build missiles inside of the silos. You won't have a lot of customization, you won't have a lot of options, you'll just be able to kind of drop items in there and it'll work. It's pretty much how the standard launcher works. So we're going to go ahead and launch this up, and we're going to see what state we're currently at, and then we're going to move from there. And then get into a few other things. Hopefully I'll get ICBM all converted in the next few days. The goal is to get ICBM not depending on any Minecraft code by the end of this coming week. So somewhere by the 29th, I want to get ICBM completely removed from using Minecraft and Forge code. That way I can then start updating Volt's engine, and sometime in this week, so I'm probably not going to hit my end of the month deadline. I apologize. You guys probably saw this coming. It takes longer than a week to update mods, and we're pretty much behind. If I can get somewhere in the middle of the week, I get everything converted, then I might be able to hit the deadline. I'm going to try as hard as possible to get that moving, but if it doesn't happen, this is the reason why I don't give any ETAs and don't promise solid deadlines. So if any of you guys have decided you wanted to do some kind of event during then, that was a horrible idea because I've not been consistent with my release dates at any time. The reason I mention this, by the way, is I've actually had somebody try to sue me once before because I didn't get a release date on time. They sent me the papers through the email, and then I basically flat out told them it ain't gonna hold up in court, and they withdrew it almost immediately. It was the most weirdest thing ever. Thank you. Oh, cool. Finally got that in the mail. So my brother just tossed me Electronic Federal Tax Payment System, which is a letter I've been waiting for a while here. That's basically the digital number that I need to go pay my taxes online. And when I'm talking about taxes, I'm not talking about like personal taxes. I actually finally this year legalized my freelancing business. For the last few years, I've been pretty much running on donations. So instead of somebody paying me, I just go, okay, I'll do work for you, and then just drop whatever you want into the donation box. I don't care how much it is, just do it that way. And I take everything via donations, and I don't have to pay for taxes because the money wasn't going to me personally, it was going to the organization. This year, that's changed. A lot of the money is heading my way more than it is heading towards the organization. And that's not to say I'm taking money from the organization using it for my own personal stuff. The organization is still getting a pretty good decent amount of money, but the fact is I was doing freelancing work and giving the money to the organization when it had nothing to do with the organization. So when the money that the organization makes stays in the organization, and the money I do in freelancing now stays in my account. That way, when I go pay out of pocket, I'm no longer running broke anymore, which is a good thing. It also means the government gets to pay. I get to pay government taxes, which etc., etc. So, oh yeah, last time we were working on this, we got the missile mag going. I'm probably going to convert the missile mag in the next video or so, maybe even in the end of this video. But we want to do the launcher here. So in order to build the launcher, we're going to need a screwdriver. I'm going to keep my debug tool with me. I need to really honestly get a better texture for that. I might do the overlay here pretty soon, where I can just stare at a tile and it'll tell me everything about that tile. Might even make an interface for it so it's really nice and clean and looks really cool. Give you guys access to that too, because I don't see any point why I shouldn't be able to just give you guys access to debug tools. Because the only thing it does is it just tells you basic information. There's nothing cheaty about it. Although I'll give server owners the option to turn it off though. So these need to be 6 blocks tall, if I recall right. Actually, I think they're only 5 blocks tall. 1, 2, 3. We'll figure out in like 2 seconds. Okay, standard launcher has been created. Okay, it's still not making itself. I think this is the issue we had earlier, which wasn't running properly. So we need to go find the launcher block. I also need to make crafting recipes for the launching pad, and then I need to. This needs to actually be turned into a JSON system, so I can get that out of there, and I don't have to update that code when we go to update. Same thing with the launcher parts. I want to move this to JSON because this whole thing could be handled via a listener, which would be really cool. So it's down here pretty much. So it's this line right here is what's not happening. So block equals. So this would be launcher block. And I guess there's no error handling. There's probably no error handling because, well, the pause probably actually checks for null block already. Does it? Yeah, it already checks for it. That's the reason we're not getting any errors. Oh, actually, what's this should return blocks.error. So I'm surprised our block isn't turning into error right now. So, okay, there we go. Yeah, it's actually straight out returning null. That's cool. Wonder why it's doing that. Get block from name. It's got to be because we got the name wrong. The name is probably lowercase, and that's the reason why it's probably not working. So we want to go down to content, launcher, standard. Yeah, it's lowercase. That'll probably fix itself. And I'll catch that here a bit later. Well, it's working. We can tell simply because the textures aren't doing a jack all. Tops are working. Cool. Let's shove some missiles in here and see what happens. So that means we do need to fix the textures, which is something I need to do. I'm not getting any interaction of it. Oh man, I need to fix the missile position for the standard missile. I didn't realize it was that bad. Wonder if that happened after I updated the missile model. Because I think this is like version 4 of the missile model. Okay, so we got some right-click actions that didn't pass through. So do we have a right-click handler in here? We have an on-player activated event. Okay. Okay. Here we go. This is the server call. No, apparently that was not. Okay, I think it thinks there's a missile in there. There's no message. Okay, so there's no feedback message, which is not telling me that I've actually added a missile, so we'll go ahead and do that real quick. That way when I actually right-click, and I don't need this because the code is running properly. There's a bit of a client sync issue. I'm still not getting any reaction from this. I want to break the bottom of this one really quick, and I'm going to reset it. Okay, so yeah, it is accepting the missile. We're not getting any missile render on here. It's probably due to the packets not working. This is eye rotation. It's got an eye. The cool thing is with the rotation system, we could potentially fix our missile render. I gotta think of how to do it though. Got activation. So, I mean, we got everything on here that we need. We're just not rendering properly. We're not probably rendering properly because I don't think I think flat out we just don't have render code. So let's open up our standard launcher here. Okay, we got our multi-blocks. Which I gotta be honest, I gotta find a better way to handle that. That is just a mess. Okay, what do we got for listeners? We've got standard launcher render listener, and we've got a multi-block with no ID on it. I think in order to handle the multi-block, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just code a custom one real quick. But this listener's not running because it's probably not registered. So we need to go find our launcher real quick. Standard launcher render listener. Okay, so this is an existing render code. There's no builder in here, so yeah, we just got to register that and it'll start rendering. And that probably already handles its rotations. I don't have to deal with that. So we got to put a builder down here. Man, that's a mess. Got to optimize this down because, I mean, we got a whole layer system here. And I definitely can convert most of this to a JSON animation system, which is I need to do anyways for advanced entities. So we're going to do that later. So this would be tile listener builder. Hear my brother across the house yelling at the cat. We just bathed the cat today, and the cat is absolutely pissed at everybody. Unfortunately, the cat needed bathed because of fleas are now a thing again. What is the name of this listener? So put it there. This does force the lowercase, so it doesn't matter, but eh. So that needs to be registered in the client proxy. And there should be, yeah, right here. So we're just going to copy this and we're just going to rename it. So this will be standard. You know, the irony about this is that I built the whole tile system to get away from doing things like this, where you would have a class per. What? I'm in ICBM, right? Why is it going like, hey, you need to add dependency on what? Kind of confused of what's wrong here, why it's going like, hey, you need to add dependency on VE core. Or add, you know what's probably happened? Something got thrown in a package it's not supposed to be in. Okay, you're not what I'm looking for. I mean, so that's public static class. Oh, it's, this needs to have an ER behind it. There we go. I don't get why I wanted to add dependency on VE core. Sometimes IntelliJ confuses me on what it's trying to say because I think it's not even in its right mind when it's trying to give you error reports. It's like, we're broken, but we don't know why we're broken. But anyways, what I wanted to do here is this needs to be handled a slightly different way. So we need to switch over to utilizing the data version of this. I need to go get the format real quick. I don't have it memorized off the top of my head. Okay, it's ID and then whatever data you want to pass in. You know what we're going to do with this? I'm actually going to implement the code directly into the multi-block handler because this is something I think is going to be used a lot. So we want to go, okay, do rotation true, and we'll just have a key like that, and we'll go in the multi-block listener and we'll add handling for that. So I need to go find the multi-block handler, or yeah, it should be the multi-block handler. Losing my mind ever so slightly. Let's see. That's going to be in prefabs, tile, listeners. Nope. It's probably in the multi-block package. Okay, and what we want to do is just go protected boolean do rotation equals false, and we just do our key above here, and then let's make sure we're matching our key one-to-one. So we're going to copy that, put that there. Okay. Then what we want to do is somewhere down here. Yeah, right exactly here is where we want to put it. So I'm going to go, okay, if do rotation, then instead of doing layout key, you want to get some kind of rotation value. So what we want to do is get tile. So I'm going to go end get tile. Okay, why are there two versions? Get multi-tile host. Huh? No, that's okay. That's all right. My brain is just slugged today. This is the right method I need to call. So this instance of I rotation. So we want to make sure we're an instance of I rotation. Then for an instance of I rotation, then we want to get a rotation, which is like forge direction equals this dot get direction. Then you want to go if direction does not equal null and direction does not equal forge direction dot unknown. Because if it's either null or an unknown, then you're just going to return the default. But if it's not, you want to return something. We're going to do a dot here, and I just have to go rename everything. So this will be direction dot name dot to lowercase. And I'm going to go here, and we just want to put dots between things. So I've got dashes, and I don't know why I was doing dashes. Probably because my brain was like, you know, that looks a little easier to read. Dots don't, using a dot doesn't make any difference, but it keeps consistent with my other systems. So that will give our different multi-blocks. Our render handler already handles rotation, so we don't have to worry about that. For our missile render system, we could actually implement that rotation handling, and then we wouldn't have to do as much work, but we're going to do it this way, where we have a separate render handler for the standard missile, because we got a lot of crafting stuff that has to be handled right now. Eventually, the crafting on the launcher may become obsolete, but I still got to plan that out. So the reason I said I want to do, there's two options of what I'm going to do. I'm either going to implement crafting on all launchers and silos, or I'm going to remove it all from all of them and then make separate machines that are designed to do it. And the second one is what I'm actually leaning towards, because building stuff on the launchers didn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, realistically, you can do it, but from a gameplay point of view, it doesn't really do much. Anyways, right before we launch, let's go ahead and fix the texture. So I need to go find my test class and go copy some data from it. Since I don't, once again, I don't have this stuff memorized. Especially with me being a little sluggish and tired right now. Thing is, I actually have a monster drink I could go drink, which might make me more energetic, but I'm trying to see if I will actually get tired enough today to fall asleep without anything. And drinking a monster will guarantee that will not happen. I need the block class. Yeah, here we go. So how you do this is we just define our default state, and then we just need to implement rotating icons and stuff. I think. Yeah, we're going to have to define the textures too. We'll do this one step at a time. So we're going to close that one, and then I need to go, I don't know why I closed the standard launcher. So I knew I was going to be jumping back to this, but do we not have a render state in here? I don't think we do. So I'm going to need to copy this whole section. Might as well copy one of the textures with it while I'm at it. So we need to get our content ID, which is going to be ICBM plus the name. And then the type is block, so that's what we're rendering. And of course, our missile rendering, which is the reason why we don't have a render thing in here, is already handled for us. So our ID is tile, and then we need to get the sides here. So we need to go find, actually we already have it open. This is what we want. CPU top, and then just icon. So is there no front for this? I have a feeling that there was a front at some point for this. You know, I just did. I actually literally just screwed up with this one. Control C. Edited the wrong class file. Okay, so this is the only two we need. We just got to change the text name. So we need CPU top. So this will be icbm.cpu top. Actually, this needs to be CPU top, and the other one needs to be side. It's launcher box top. So these actually do have names for them, so we might as well use their names. I have a feeling like there is a front icon, and I just can't remember if there is one. I'm gonna have to go dig through the folder real quick. So assets, ICBM, textures, blocks. So there's a top. There's a box right there. Do we actually use the envelope base directly for something? I think I do. I think it's what one of the launcher is using right now. There's all the power rails textures. So we don't have a front for it, which is, unless we're using this as the sides. I'll have to look at it real quick when we get in game, and if it is the case, I'll just switch them out real quick. And if we don't have a front, I may make one, because it just feels like there should be one there. Okay, so we got those. Anyways, we gotta register these, so here's what our ID will be. And our domain is that. Then our name is the back half of this. And then our type is block, of course. And we would have two of these textures. So just a box top on both of these. Okay, that should fix the rendering for it. It should look perfectly fine. A few other things I need to do for this. I actually need to implement an NEI proxy for this, so I'll have to add a listener which is designed just for when content is loaded to remove things from creative tabs. Because the standard launcher is not meant to show up in the creative tab, and it's not meant to show up in NEI. And unfortunately, NEI will find it regardless, even if you take it out of a creative tab. After all, there's not a lot of logic to really tell NEI what to do with vanilla stuff. Oh well, I'm trying to think of like if there actually is a way to do it. I'd say if something has broken textures on it, that would be a good indicator that it's not meant to render. Fluid blocks should not be listed in there. That's a really easy one to actually check for. Is instance of block fluid. I don't know if they ever fixed that issue. I can't think of it. Get my mic there for a second to take a drink of soda. Really shouldn't be drinking this stuff, but oh well. I went to the store and bought one. It's like $1 for a liter of it. Not exactly the best defense in my case, but whatever. It's probably actually why I feel a little sluggish right now. I've been drinking that stuff. And we wait for this to load. Probably implement some sounds here too. I actually need to make a loader for the server to load up the sound files server side, but not the actual audio, just the fact that they're there, so we can ID what sounds actually exist on the client. So when I go to fire off an action event, like a particle event or a sound event, and the server goes, these aren't present on the client, there's no point to what the Wah. I mean, we fixed the render, but what in the world happened here? That's a major bug that has to be fixed. Not to mention it dropped. I only dropped 4 missiles, so at least it didn't duplicate the missiles. It did duplicate the controllers, though. That is concerning. I think I might know what caused that, and it'll take me a second to identify the problem. Okay, so these are just launch computers. At least I think these are. Yeah, these are just launch computers. I guess it destroyed itself. Oh yeah, we have a bug. It's the multi-block code. So something's deleting it. I'm not seeing any errors in console, but it is clearly destroying things. We're missing 5 blocks here, so top block didn't reset. Every time we create it, it tries to... Actually, is it dropping multi-blocks? Oh. Multi-blocks for like 2 seconds. It drops some ghost items. Oh, those are real items. That is just bizarre. It is trying to place multi-blocks though, so I can definitely see that. I don't think any of these are messed up though. The weird thing is the multi-block code is designed so that it's not supposed to be able to delete tiles. I'm not sure how to debug this right now. Because what happens is we create this, and then it creates a tile and places it. So it's the tile itself that's doing it. So we call build multi-block. We call get host. Get host triggers the listener. I don't think we need this part. Because the thing is, the standard launcher is designed to destroy its multi-block structure when it's not needed, so you can actually walk through the launch pad. But I could just code behavior so they're not collidable. Because it's going to build the multi-block structure no matter what. So let's get rid of this whole thing. So it's no longer going to destroy its multi-block structure. It's just that there's going to be a structure there, and if you guys collide with it, you'll have to deal with it. I got to go through and make sure there's no more. You know, I actually can remove all the multi-block calls just by removing this part, and that'll pop up and it'll show me where all the calls are. So when we launch the missile, it clears the multi-block, and when every so often it checks to see if it needs to rebuild it. But we're just going to simply go and say we don't need to rebuild it. And no, we need to make sure we're doing the frame check. The frame check, by the way, is randomized, so that way not every launcher is updating at the same time. It helps stabilize performance a little bit by spreading out the ticks. And if a lot of more mods did this, you wouldn't see as much problem with CPU. Okay, so we drop items, we set our block to launcher part. There's nothing in here that explains why it's doing that, so it has to be the multi-block handler then. So I'm going to have to go find it. I'm going to actually downspeed this part real quick. That way I can find things a little faster. Okay, here we go. So we're back in here. So I assume this part's working. Let me open this. Are all these named the same? They're all called standard launcher. I know exactly what's wrong. Where's my listener? We're calling the wrong multi-block structure. That still doesn't explain why the multi-block structure is murdering things. I probably turned off an event call by mistake because there is a validation check that may not be getting called. So I need to go find the go look through the multi-block code real quick. So there's a destroy structure. First tick is where we actually call build. Build does have a validate check in it. So the validation check is not running, which it set the true, so it should run. So we go through here. So we go, okay, int equals null, int type doesn't equal class. Okay, there's no check for placement here. So if validation is true, it'll ignore this part. Then it basically makes sure that the entity is null and that the entity matches our class. This doesn't really do anything for us. What that check is doing is something completely different. So what does the documentation say for validation check? If true, we'll check if the tile exists at the location rather than placing a new one. I'm going to go ahead and end this, and I'm going to make a new addition to this real quick. Rather than doing that, I'm going to make a whole entire new method for this. Public static boolean can build Speaking of which, I probably have a ton of private messages. I noticed earlier today when I was sitting there playing MechWarrior, I was getting poked quite a bit. Okay, so not a lot we really need to do here. So we need to go, okay, if world doesn't equal null and tile doesn't equal null, okay, we're going to return false by default. And what we want to do is at the bottom here, we're actually going to return true. Now, what are the checks they do? I need to make sure that the multi-block exists. So it'd be engine dot multi-block doesn't equal null. There is cases where the multi-block may not register, and it's usually just because mods fail to register their multi-blocks. So we need this for loop. We need basically this whole piece here. Alright, sneezed off microphone there. Ah, that was a nasty sneeze too. It's one of those ones where your bones hurt. That's how I know I'm getting an actual cold here. We don't care about string data, or actually no, we're going to hold on to that, and I am going to store it because of this part right here. Yeah, might need this part. Okay, we're going to have to recode a few pieces here. Anytime the location or the type equals null or type dot is empty, we're just going to return false. We're going to get rid of the stupid eye check. That eye check is just used for debug on the top method here. Let's see. Okay, so we do need a boolean check here. So we need boolean offset Build is going to validate though, so it is going to run a validation check by default. Because in here we're going to check to see if we can actually build properly. We don't need this part. We are missing a bracket. We're going to check that this is good by default. And what we need to do is we need to get the block. So we go block equals world.getTileEntity. Or no, get block. I don't know why my brain was thinking that way. What I actually need to do here is this should actually be xi. There we go. That'll remove the cast ends right there. And then I'm actually going to need to go look at the pause class here in a second to make sure it actually uses the for method. So what I'm going to do is block dot is error block, and we just need to pass in the coordinates real quick. I think it needs the world too. So is error block or block dot is replaceable. That's literally the check we need real quick to make sure that we can place there. The alternative, there's actually one more thing I actually need to probably put here. Okay, we don't want this. I'm going to go else, return false. Okay, so for entity, well, we don't care if it's an error block or if it's replaceable, we're good. So this actually needs to be basically a double not here, and then the false statement needs to be in the middle here. And then we need an else statement, so we need to go, okay, if it's gonna be an else if, but it doesn't really have to be. We want to go if block equals multi-block, and we want to check to see if it's a dead multi-block. The only other time we accept replacing a block is if it's a multi-block and it's missing its host. So if the host is dead, for some reason you rotate it, for example, if you rotate a structure, the multi-blocks go dead, and then they regenerate. So if you're a multi-block, then we want to go and get the tile entity. And we're going to have to do this the hard way because the reason why we're doing this the hard way is the location we get is an iPause 3D. Even though I know for a fact that is more than likely a pause, I don't feel like converting it. So I'm going to go, okay, this, and we're going to go tile entity instance of I multi-tile. So if I, and then we would go get host equals null. Or doesn't equal null, we want to return true, or false. Return false. If there's no tile entity there, it's a multi-block, then it's a broken block, and we can just delete it and replace it. This means we don't need the data string, apparently. We don't need to check enum type of. Actually, yeah, no, we don't. We don't care about the type. We are going to validate the type, though. Which means we do need to actually keep. We're going to hold on to this just because we do need to separate it out. But we're not going to worry about it right now. It'll be fine. So this will be can build. This should work. Probably needs to be multi-tested though, or I mean not multi-tested. JUnit tested to ensure that it is fully functional. But if we follow it through, okay, we got a map. Actually, we want to return false. We don't got a map. Return true down here. Okay. So if we got a map, the map is not empty, then we can build. Technically, we can build if we don't have a map either, but I'm going to return false anyways. We go through the map, and if we find anything that's wrong with it, we return false. So yeah, this should work. And then what we need to do is just run this code up here. So we want to go somewhere, well, actually we're not going to run this in here at all. Where we're going to run this is right here in the multi-block listener. So we're going to go with multi-block listener dot. Oh, did I not make that a? Oh, no, it's a multi-block helper. Brain cells today. Need more of them. Not enough. There we go. So if we can build, then we're going to build. And then the cool thing about this is I can copy this method, go all the way down to the can place at, and replace it all. So we just want to go, okay, if can build at. So that'll run our entire check that validates and says we can build our block, and this will be used by the item class when we go to place it. So that'll handle itself. Check the story multi-block structure real quick. Oh yeah, okay, we validate to make sure the multi-block structure is there. So we don't delete blocks that are not multi-blocks, so that's not going to cause any problems. And we're going to just go ahead and launch this and see what happens. Hopefully we get some rendering of missiles. Let's see what's been happening at Curse right now. People reporting crashes on the comment section. People recording crashes and the private messages. So yeah, basically a normal day CurseForge. I do repeatedly tell people that I don't take comments outside of GitHub, but it seems to be a consistency that people just, if they can find you as the developer anywhere, like I've received messages on Facebook. I actually almost never open Facebook. So the very fact that somebody sent me a message over it, I'm not going to read it. I'm just straight out intentionally not going to read it after that as well, because I'm not opening Facebook to read your messages. Even though the email gives me pretty much a gist of what your message is, and it's usually somebody going like, hey, it's not working. And they're messaging, actually let me rephrase this, they're not messaging my actual Facebook account, because my actual Facebook account does not share the same name as my online name, for obvious reasons. They're messaging the organization account. And they're like, hey, your mods aren't working. I'm like, you went out of your way to go find the Facebook account for BuiltBrokenModding, which doesn't receive any activity. I mean, we made the thing just to prevent somebody from making a fake account pretty much and pretending to be us. And you reported it there. And the thing is, the place you download the mods says, okay, issue tickets are reported here. And there's a big issue button on Curse where you go to Curse and you click the issue button, it'll take you right to the GitHub tracker. And you can report issues there. I mean, even then, I'm okay with people replying in at least the comments at Curse. I mean, if you're replying in the comments at Curse, it's not too bad, because then at least you're close enough. But if you're going out of your way to message me in other places, like I get messages on Steam occasionally, I get messages on weird games. Like I was logged into MechWarrior the other day, and somebody figured out that I was the same Dark Guardsman as the developer. And I got a bug report through MechWarrior, and I'm like, I'm in MechWarrior playing a game, and you're messaging me a bug report. It doesn't make any sense. I literally take bug reports in one place, that's GitHub. And there's a legitimate reason for that. It's really easy to handle bug reports on GitHub. Other people can see them and find them. Okay, well, anyways, less of a rant and more of a, let's get back to work. Okay, so theoretically this has been created. I'm going to have to make an icon for this, because there should be a change on the front of this that indicates that this is not the same thing. Anyways, we've got a missile added and we're not rendering. And missile's inserted, so that's working. So the render code's not working. So we need to go get the render code and see what's up with it. At least I fixed the multi-block code. Actually, let me check this. Okay, there's no multi-block there. Okay, there's no multi-blocks, and multi-block code is just flat out not running. There's no error handling. What I need to do real quick, I need to add some errors here. So else, engine, for some reason I hit cap lock, I don't know how. Engine.logger.error cannot build multi we go. That'll give us a nice little debug there every time it goes to tick. So if I go and I do this, I should get, yep, right here. It's telling me what it cannot place at the location. It doesn't tell me where though, which I guess is okay. Why we got a double tile standard launcher, host. Tile, oh, because it's got it's got a double debug wrap. That's got to be fixed. That is really weird to read. So this is more than likely, I don't know what's wrong with this actually. We're gonna hit debug on it real quick, and I want to see what's up. So I hit the debug line in the wrong spot. Derp. Here we go. So we want to go into this thing, and not exactly that spa, but it's going to make me go through each of the sub methods because it doesn't understand which method you want to go into. Okay, so that's not null. Yeah, our map's null. That's why it's not working. So at some point it can't load the multi-blocks. So what we want to do, there's nothing we really can do because it's just going to fail right there. So I'm going to go to listener real quick and put a line there. Hit play. And then I'm going to break it again. Oh, shoot, it's going to... I guess this works. I can use this real quick to see what's going on here. Okay, get multi-tile host is not returning an instance of iRotation, so we're getting the base layout. There is no base layout for this, so it's going to return null on this. So it's the iRotation thing that's not working, which doesn't make any sense. Actually, I know exactly what's wrong. So we're looking for the multi-block host. That's not actually what we need. We need a tile entity. So tile entity equals get tile entity. And what we want to do is we want this part here, but we want to remove that. And we want to come down a bit here. I'm going to go if tile entity is instance of iRotation, and then we cast tile entity real quick. We get our direction that way. If that doesn't work, we're going to go else if tile entity is instance of I multi-tile host, or not I multi-host, I tile node host. And yeah, that'll work. And we're going to set this to null by default because that'll fix this down here needing to run. And we just need to make sure we cast this to the correct type. And that should fix, because what's happening is it's getting the tile entity as the multi-tile host. So it's going, okay, our tile entity is multi-host, but our tile is not a rotation object, so it's not getting our multi-block structure. So this should fix itself. So we put this here. And then I should see this hit true. Yeah, there we go. It fixes. And there you go. You see we got a multi-block structure now. Now what I might do is set up a couple more booleans here. Like I might add a boolean to make sure that on first tick we're working properly. And then let's go ahead and put a missile in here, and then we'll figure out what's wrong with our render code here. And then that should carry us to the done point for today. Or not today, but done point for this episode, because I might make a couple more of these. Because I'm not going to sleep anytime soon, unfortunately. And what I'm thinking, also, by the way, what I'm talking about is adding a couple more variables, is there will be another one down here, is build first tick, and it'd be false. So we're going to add back our code that actually handled building the structure, because this is going to be annoying because you can't walk through that. It'd be okay if there was like a ghost missile object there or something to say, okay, there's going to be a missile there, which actually is not a horrible idea. I could do a translucent missile render here later. Don't need that class. Don't need that class anymore. Don't need that class. That one. We need this one. And we need the render class. So that'd be under content, launcher. Here we go. So something in here is failing. At least I think this is what's going on. So if we do this, oh, that whole thing just not running. Which means this is probably not running. So we're gonna have to restart to figure out what's up with this. Although, no, this should run each tick, because no matter even if I have a missile or not, that should run. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit save and quit. And we're gonna go look at the standard launcher real quick to make sure. Yeah, there's a listener there for it. Yeah, it looks fine. So let's hit debug and see if it's loading properly. I need another drink of my soda here. Definitely have to go get some water though, because this soda is... downside with soda is it's got a lot of syrup and salt in it, so it doesn't hydrate you well. And that makes your throat a bit rough if you're not exactly hydrated. I could explain why I'm a little sluggish right now, as might be slightly dehydrated. Which does make sense. I ate a couple cheeseburgers recently. Most people don't understand this, but your body needs quite a bit of water to process food. So if you eat a lot of food, you actually are dehydrating yourself. Not many games actually note this well, although not many games make you keep track of your thirst. But in a survival situation, people think you need to eat right away. You actually don't. For the very reason that if you eat, you dehydrate yourself. If you dehydrate, you die. Okay, that's running. Cool. So it's added, at least. So why isn't this running? I think I have an idea why it's not running. I have to think about this for a second, because there's a registry method. Yeah, I know exactly why it's not running. Okay, so I need to close on here. There's no render set up for it. So we're rendering as a block as our default render. But we forgot to set up a tile render system. And I can fix this by going into small tile here and borrowing this line. So we failed to specify what our render type was. There might be a problem with this. It might break our block render. Let's go check out our block render real quick, and I need to go see how it behaves. That is going to be on the core, and that's going to be underneath framework. IntelliJ, I didn't even want to move that package. You're just being retarded now. Okay, so cool. It actually understands that the tile could be a subtype. I think I was thinking ahead when I did that. I do need to get the tile here. Well, luckily I can just go up here and copy this. But if it doesn't register a tile entity special render, which is what this line does right here, then it won't call the listener, because this listener depends on tile entity special render ticking itself. Hell, 1A, I don't even know how I'm going to implement this, because I think they got rid of the tile entity special renders. I know they got rid of the ISBRs, but then again, almost every block is an ISBR now. It's how they kind of handle their system. which makes me happy because most of these tiles could render as ISBRs. I could actually render all of my missiles with ISBRs, but I don't think they support triangles, which means my missiles would have to be more boxy than they already are. And I kind of like the smoother looking missiles. They look nice, even though they don't really fit Minecraft 100%. They're pretty close though. I mean, everything doesn't have to be spot on, especially as long as all the content around it matches properly. Then it actually does pretty well. And a lot of mods have actually kind of started slowly moving away from doing pure boxy models. Thermal expansion has pipes now, which I believe are octagons. I plan to do something similar here down the road though, but I plan to do much smaller pipes. A lot of mods have really, really large pipes, and I actually think there needs to be an adjustment or transition away from larger pipes to smaller pipes. And I'm not saying that because I want to make it harder for people to build. It actually will make it easier. Because all you have to do is really spend some time playing around with the controls and making sure that the placement works properly. And then you can take a smaller pipe, and then now I can run that through walls and really small spaces. The bigger pipes, that's hard to do because they're almost a full block in size. Most pipes are like 0.4 to 0.6 in size. I want to make pipes that are 0.1 and 0.2 because you don't need to move a lot of fluids around. A 0.2 size pipe is what you have. It's bigger than what you have in your house. That's almost the same size as a sewage drain pipe that's coming out of your house. Actually, I think about 0.3 gets about the size of a sewage drain pipe. And then that drains into a pipe that's about 0.6. So you got to imagine if that's running your day-to-day stuff, you could actually make small pipes and those would run your machinery just fine. And then you got to imagine you could have tons of those pipes running next to each other, running different fluids, and now you can get more content into one little block. And the more pipes you can stick in one block, the lower you can reduce your ticking impact. Okay, yeah, we broke our render code. Bummer. Did it fix our missile render code though? It did not. Because this is not ticking. I think it just flat out broke. Probably didn't load properly. Okay, where's the block base? Okay, it does do a block state system. So we're going to call this block. I do need to go mess with my render loader because I think that's what broke. Is there anything in the debug or console? Nothing obvious, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing looking for bugs. So this has got to be the render handler not loading properly. Okay, so render type equals tile. We grab a tile class, and then what we end up doing is making tile render data. Tile render data extends render data. I don't think there's any special handling for block render data, is there? No, so that should be fine. Is there any special handling for block states? There is a block state render. Okay, so I gotta figure out where that's loaded at. Okay, if state has a model ID or has a parent, do we have a parent on ours? No. That then goes to the else. If render type equals block, or how to handle this procedurally? We could just check for the ID straight out, but that would be weird. So we're just gonna do it this way. Do a tile, and we're gonna go. So we got texture ID. Has texture ID, texture ID. Okay, we do that. We go sides. I don't think we need to do any special handling because this and this work almost the same. The only difference is this stores 6 textures, this stores 1. I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good here. There are a few things I probably need to handle and toy around with, but that should fix it not rendering the block textures, but I can't figure out why the tile is not running. What we're gonna do real quick is I need to make a new world. So I'm gonna hold on to this one and we're gonna call this the reason I'm calling this automation test is I set up automation already in there and I don't want to delete it, but I want to make a new world so I can test one tile at a time and I can do the render code check for it. Because if I got multiple tiles rendering all through the same system and I'm trying to check them, and I'll get every single tick update for them, and I only want to be getting one tick update. Okay, so we'll place this 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we didn't need that last one. It's actually supposed to check to see if you build it too tall. So that is building the multi-block correctly. So I need to check, I mean, we're not getting a tick event here. So I need to check to see if the listener is correct. I actually know exactly why it's not working. Oh, we gotta close this out. So I'm gonna have to make some changes to the methods in order to fix it. What I failed to do is this thing here. So that's why it's not working. And there's no error handling for this, which is weird. I'm probably going to want to make error handling for this at some point and be like, hey, your listener's not set up correctly. Although I kind of want to do away with this whole junky system. There's probably going to be like some kind of registry system where you just check class name against whatever you're doing and it'll just understand how it functions. Because having this return method in here that just builds a new list when you go to register is time consuming. Yeah, that looks good. It'll render properly next time we load. We're at an hour 3. I'm gonna have to like spend a day just practicing recording just so I get these recording times down. Because after all, as I've noted before, these are not scripted. These are pretty much just we're doing whatever. You're watching me pretty much not exactly what I do normally, as I can code faster if I'm not recording. The reason I'm doing the recordings is I feel it's helpful for people. Because there's a lot of people that keep asking me to teach them how to program, and you guys can watch and by example, I guess. I don't know. There's a methodology behind it. If anything, I'm recording to kill my boredom. So I know one thing I do need to work on additionally to practicing this. So I need to get Premiere downloaded so I can edit the audio. I've had a few people complain already that you can hear me breathe through the microphone. You can hear a lot of background noise, and Premiere, which is a video editing tool from Adobe, actually can do a pretty good job editing videos. Some of the older videos I've uploaded, they're clean for the reason that I actually have run them through with audio editing. And I kind of want to start doing opening and closing scenes on my videos, just like a really quick 3-second thing going, hey, this is a dev video, without me actually going, hey, because I know a lot of people find that opening of annoying, especially if you've ever seen Vsauce. I've seen so many memes of Vsauce. It's like, Vsauce, Michael here, and it's like, yeah, people actually find that slightly annoying. Although the irony of it, even though they're annoyed by it, everybody can remember that part. So part of the annoyance actually is doing some marketing. But I'm going to avoid it for the simple fact that, fuck it, it doesn't really matter. I'm not really doing these to make money anyway, so I'm not doing it. I don't plan to become a YouTuber. I don't plan to become a streamer. My plan is to become a game developer. Okay, so we got our launcher. We don't seem to have a missile. We don't seem to have a recipe. I think that is what we currently have, so that should be good. Our texture did fix, so we're good there. Now we want to right-click with a missile and see if it'll render. Okay, so we have a missile. I know this for a fact. We now have one. So what is going wrong here? So we're not getting a tick here. And let's tick here real quick. We don't have a recipe. We don't have a missile. I think we're missing something here. So I'm going to hit play real quick while I dig around the code. So I'm pretty confident that we are synchronizing things. So if we go down to the read and write, we don't have, no wait, never mind, we have a read packet. And we got some lazy ass packet handling here. Right, buff 0. We're missing description packet. No, that looks right. Because this would handle our description packet. This doesn't do anything. That just casts a super for whatever reason it does. We're just going to do this real quick. I want to see what's up with it. So if I break you, and I place you, and your multi-block should be disappearing. Right. Well, good to know that's broken. Really quickly, I want to see if it still has a host attached to it. Oh, they're gone. Yeah, as soon as I started right-clicking them, they didn't update client side, so the client didn't destroy the structure for some reason. Okay. So we do have a description packet system working here. Okay, so write 3 is what we get. If we come here, we should see it read. The irony of this packet handling system is I'm pretty much doing exactly what CalCloth used to do. He has this lazy ass packet handling system. The old days. The weird thing, I gave him so much shit, but I repeat his mistakes about 30% of the time. It's kind of weird how that works. Something about wisdom. There's definitely like a wisdom quote I can stick there. I just can't think of one. So we know this is running. So we know the description packet system is doing its thing. Is it just not triggering? So if we put a missile in here, it's not triggering the description packet. Except there is a send description packet right there. We're missing one. I know exactly why we're missing one. There's a piece of code missing. So we could send a description packet into here, but there was a piece of description packet in the set inventory code, but the set inventory code got removed. Link, first update, fire missile, on post, on death, read. So much packet handling. Okay, so it's not in there. It's got to be missile container then. Player remove missile, player add missile, which has got a send description packet in it. I don't know why we've got oh yeah, I know why we got our own handling. Right here, on inventory changed. I can't remove the missile. By the way, the ability to not remove missile is intentional. Okay, I don't need you, I know you work. What I want to know is if the set inventory is working properly. Okay, so that change on inventory is not doing its job. Why is it not working? So we're setting inventory content. We're not getting ticked on this spot. Why not? On inventory change doesn't seem to be running at all. Or we're running an external inventory, which means we should be getting an on inventory tick change. Okay, something's weird. Because it passes in host, because host would be this. Host is not a tile entity. What are you used by? I didn't want to know what that. I wanted to know what this was used by. Host is in. Ah! It's a mark dirty call. It's not being passed back. What are you seriously used by? You're just used down here. Tile mark dirty. There's our own inventory change call. I wonder why it's not being called though. The thing with the mark dirty thing is I think it actually is used in more than a couple places. We're gonna want to deprecate this. So I want to actually see, is this used? Okay, it's not used anywhere else. This is the spot we want to know that runs. Gonna have to keep rebuilding this. Okay, on inventory change got called. It's a slot 0 null item. Oh, standard launcher's got its own handling for this. Stack previous, stack new. How did stack previous become stack new? Oh, you know why? It's because this needs to be renamed. Defective code. That's why this is not working. Okay, this should fix itself. I just need to launch. And I also need to break this real quick. Oh, wow. On inventory changed. Okay, we go in here real quick. Okay, we got our description packet send. So we know that works now. So we were looking in the wrong spot for this. So the missile container, which I need to go find my thing here, is being overwritten. So there's no super check, which would have sent the description packet, and then there's a should catch. Is caching? Okay, this only does slot 0. We're not caching the missile object, which could be problematic. Okay, we're still not. Where's our? Okay, here we are at. Okay, we don't have a missile still. We're gonna put this here because at this point, it's just literally if that line runs. So it's got to be. It's got to be this method set that's not working properly. So we basically just want to do this real quick. And then we want to go else, and then we just want to go super dot on inventory changed slot stack prev new stack. Because then this will run the super code, which will then send a description packet, and then we'll then cache the missile, which is what I think we need to do. So break this again, put this down. Just gonna be like one of those cycles of let's repeat actions. Still not getting our missile. So we know that should have cached it. We know that should have sent a description packet. So somewhere in the read description packet we're not handling appropriately. So I'm going to actually Control Z this part because I think there is an intentional reason why this is designed this way. I think only the client caches the missile for the standard launcher, which means we want to know when this code runs. So break this again, place it, do our wrench thing. Okay. Uh-huh. We have a missile. Cool. So that means we actually do have a missile client. So something is not functioning appropriately. Does this have its own missile cache? It does not. So why aren't you getting the missile? Okay. We have a missile cache. So we go missile doesn't equal null. Missile, do that. But it doesn't make sense because this would return true. Oh no, because it can't access the inventory. Okay, that makes sense. So let's do this real quick. Okay, it's gonna render the missile now. Yay! The missile renders. Now we're just gonna make sure all the rotation works, and I might be able to make a release here this weekend. I just gotta go do more bug testing. Still amazed how nice these look. The thing is, there's actually two separate artists that actually worked on these. Dragonlord made the original, and then Morton went through and he adjusted the renders. Okay, missile, missile, missile. Oh man, that's so nice. I just gotta fix the render bounds because you notice how the render bounds are acting up. But they're placed correctly. They're rendering nicely. They just flat out look good. So we're back to where we were pretty much, and I'm going to go ahead and end this video off, and I'll start up the next one here in a bit after I take a break.